Hey, there's the music. That means it's time for Animal Talk. Some of those doggone pet people on the planet helping you with your pets. I'm Jamie Flanagan. Just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining the party, coming along. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all those podcast things in all the podcast places. You'll find us pretty much everywhere. Instagram, find the Instagram. The Instagram's a fun one right now. Lots of stuff happening over on Instagram, and that is simply Animal Talk Radio. And again, likewise with Twitter and Facebook, YouTube, Animal Talk TV. Find us all over the place, doing all kind of animal stuff, talking about all kind of tips for your pets and important animal issues. It's people listen whenever, wherever, however. But today is Tuesday. It's the Giving Tuesday after Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's Giving Tuesday. And charitable works are on people's mind, hopefully, today. So check out the Instagram, Animal Talk Radio on Instagram, because we made a bunch of suggestions for charities that you can look into. And always the best charity close to home. Find a rescue. They're always in need. Your local rescues. We're here in Detroit. The Detroit Dog Rescue, they do amazing stuff, but they always need more volunteers. They always need more funding. So find a local charity. And then if your heart is big and your pockets are deep, you can go nationwide and worldwide because there's a lot of problems. Oh my gosh. There's so many problems in our ecosystem, in the environment. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, and trying to make sense of all the madness in the world and finding out just exactly how deep the problems go. Can we fix it? Are these things reversible? Can we come back from the damage that we've done? It's because we're doing damage to the planet and the environment, and we want to know, can it be fixed? So we're going to turn to the experts, people that are involved in the conservation, and find out exactly what's being done, what more can be done, and it's worth saving, but have we gone too far? And with us today to help us talk about that, we're turning to the experts. We have the Friends of the Earth. It's the World Sustainability Organization, and one of the branches there, the Friends of the Sea, also the Friends of the Earth. And we have with us today the director. I'm going to mess it up. Paolo Bray.
Hello, Jamie.
Hey, Paolo.
Thanks for being here with you.
Thanks for being with us on Animal Talk. We were going to talk today about rhinos. And the problems that are happening because of habitat and poaching. And one question before that.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Okay, that's me. That's my 12-year-old kicking in there. No, it's just bad comedy. But first thing I want to know before we get into the rhinos, I want to know about you. So, Paolo, tell me about your childhood.
Yeah, well, I'm Italian. I'm based in Milan, in Italy. But about 30 years ago, when I got out of university, I decided to do something for the planet, not just for myself. And so I started working many years ago on a project of an NGO based in California called the Earth Island Institute, founded by David Brower, considered to be the most influential environmentalist of the past century in the US. And the project was the Dolphin Safe Tuna Project, which had just been launched. You might be familiar with that. I'm currently the international director of this project, which aims to certify tuna caught without harming dolphins. The problem was that in the eastern tropical Pacific, between California, Baja California, and Peru, about 7 million dolphins have been killed by the tuna industry. We're talking about dolphins now, even though the subject is rhino. Just to tell you how we got here, basically, we realized that by certifying tuna, we could save dolphins. We actually managed to lower dolphin mortality in this critical area of the Eastern Tropical Pacific by over 98%, so from about 100,000 killed every year to the current 1,000, 1,500. And so I realized that certifications could be a very important tool to achieve tangible conservation results. And I launched in 2008 Friend of the Sea, as you mentioned, which is a certification of products from sustainable fisheries and aquaculture, because fisheries and aquaculture have a potential to impact the environment, but can also be carried out in a sustainable way. And we managed to involve a lot of companies. We monitor over 1,500 companies worldwide to verify that the fishing activity and the aquaculture activity is done respecting the marine environment. And then in 2018, we launched Friend of the Earth, which does a similar thing for products from agriculture and farming. At the same time, we dedicated an increasing part of our budget to conservation projects and campaigns worldwide. So we are giving back to the environment. And this way also, when people choose Friend of the Sea or Friend of the Earth certified products, they know that they are produced in a sustainable way, but at the same time, that by purchasing them, they are also supporting our conservation initiatives. In some cases, they are our own projects, such as the Butterflies project, the project to prevent whales sheet strikes, and so on. Other projects we have selected based on a very thorough selection, and we support them. And that's the case of the Rhino project in South Africa.
All right, so the rhinos, we're losing habitat. It's a two-pronged problem, right, for the rhinos, and probably even more than that. But they're losing their habitat, and then you have an astounding amount of poaching going on. Who's poaching these rhinos, and why?
Well, the word, the name rhinoceros comes from the Greek rhinos, nose, and keras, horn. And in fact, the horn is made of keratin, which is the same substance of which our hair and nails are made. And really, there is no scientific evidence of any health benefits from using this, even though, unfortunately, this is the main reason for rhinos populations having dropped dramatically, for some species for over 90% over the years. Yes. In fact, there's the Chinese and some other traditional Asian medicines believe that they bring health, that they have some health properties, and so there's a very important market still in China, in Vietnam, and other Asian countries for rhino horn products. And unfortunately, this has led to some populations decreasing dramatically. So we have we have 5 different species of rhinos still living. Some others have gone extinct. There's 2 in Africa and 3 in Southeast Asia. And out of these 5, 3 of these species are among the most endangered animals. The black rhino, the Javan rhino, and the Sumatran rhino, they are all considered critically endangered by the IUCN Red List, which is the most followed and accepted list of endangered species. And again, the main reason for this decrease in the populations is the poaching. However, also loss of habitat is obviously a very important impact factor. But there are not only bad news. The total individuals of rhinos worldwide is approximately 26,000. So some of the species have shown, some of the population species have shown a gradual increase, especially in the last decade, and a gradual reduction in the poaching due to the fact that some of these populations are currently made of a very little group of individuals. Imagine that, for example, the Javan and the Sumatran populations are 26 and 28 individuals left. And the northern white rhino, which is a subpopulation of the white rhino, is only made up of 2 captive females. So basically, it's going extinct. However, the Indian, the Javan, and the Sumatran populations are increasing as well as the black rhino, and in very recent years, the white rhino. So
Wow.
something is happening. So this is the good news, but we should not, absolutely not. There is no reason to celebrate or give up. We need to continue active population management and anti-poaching activities, also involving the local population. And this is why Friend of the Earth, among other organizations, is supporting the Rhino Orphanage in Limpopo province in South Africa, quite close to Johannesburg. This orphanage program has been commissioned by Mr. Ari van de Venter in 2012 and managed to protect and save over the years over 70 rhino orphans.
So
In fact, when
I was going to say, you know, it's when when these rhinos get poached, a lot of time a byproduct of that, and even damaging the herd and the numbers even more, you know, are the baby rhinos. So these adult rhinos are getting poached, and then the babies are left to their own, and then, you know, usually not a good story. What do you do with a baby rhino? So you guys opened a rhino orphanage?
Yes, Ari van de Venter opened this orphanage back in 2012.
Okay.
And the reason is that, in fact, as you were rightly saying, rhino calves are heavily dependent on their mother's guidance to learn the skills necessary, you know, to fend themselves in the wild. And usually they stick with their mothers for up to 4 years.
Okay.
So when a mother rhino is killed, an untrained calf would be highly vulnerable and have little chance of survival. And so this very strong poaching activity has left many helpless calves perishing. And this is, of course, further hampered the conservation efforts. So the Rhino Orphanage managed to protect these orphans, to also raise awareness, obviously. And there was a need to also improve their captive habitat, their protected habitat. And we're talking about a big number of hectares. And so by means of our support, the support of the Friend of the Earth program, of the WSO, the World Sustainability Organization, the Rhino Orphanage managed to improve the enclosures and expand its potential infant carrying capacity into a 4,800 hectare protected reserve. And we really hope that this will give a better chance of survival to these orphans and to the new ones, which unfortunately come in every year due to poaching.
So are these is this preserve, is it just for the orphaned rhinos, or are you collecting other rhinos and steering them that way to live in a safe space?
Well, it is mostly for the rhinos, even though within the same area there are other species. There are giraffes, others which not predate on rhinos. Obviously, there are very few species which actually predate on rhinos, but which could not impact their survival. So we have actually been there, and it's a huge area, but now it's much easier for the staff, for the team there of the Rhino Orphanage to actually monitor and protect them, and gradually prepare them to be reintroduced also in the wild.
Yeah. So what do you do day to day? Are you boots on the ground? Are you taking care of rhinos and feeding rhinos? What's your role, generally speaking?
Well, we have some images which unfortunately I cannot show you right now over the radio, but we have actually been there and helped ourselves with our team in the phase of moving the rhinos during last summer from the previous location to the new one. So we are supporting in this sense and we are planning also to gradually send in the area students and volunteers to help support the orphanage. On top of that, we helped them and funded a video which is about to be released, which will help to further raise awareness. And the plan is to assess their biodiversity beneficial impact and trade it on the market of biodiversity offsets. So basically propose it for funding to companies to allow their impact on similar species or the rhino species also in the area. So imagine a mining company which is in southern Africa, which is the area where you find most of the white and black rhinos, is impacting somehow part of their habitat, using it for mining. And even though mining companies nowadays, not all of them, but some, have environmental policies in order to reduce their impact over the years, reforest the areas which have been used for mining and so on, there's still an impact that they have to compensate. And they might be able to compensate, just like you might have heard of a carbon offset to compensate the emissions which cannot be eliminated from your production. They might well be able to compensate their impact by purchasing and thus donating to this project to support the survival of rhinos.
What do you feed a baby rhino? What does it take to nurture and take care of a baby rhino?
Well, I'm not a scientist, but I've been there, and I have fed some of these rhinos myself.
All right.
I would be glad maybe if you have like the possibility in the next few days to show some of the images and videos. We'd be glad to have our team send it to you. We prepared the milk-based feed that was fed to them. We participated also, and we learned from this trip we made. And so, at least in the initial years, they are fed with the milk or with the substance made of milk, which is recomposed by the veterinary experts that are on site to imitate the milk that the mothers cannot feed anymore, unfortunately, to these calves. And on top of that, they are basically herbivores and with some slight differences. The white and the black rhinos feed of vegetables. The white rhinos have a broader flat lips for grazing, whereas the black rhinos have long pointed lips for eating foliage. And actually, a curiosity is that they are not white or black. They are not.
They're not.
The reason why they're called white most likely comes from the Dutch or South African word for wide mouth. So the white rhinos have a wide mouth, as I explained, for grazing. And consequently, the other rhinos were called black because they didn't have a white mouth.
So what does it take? You talked about the funding, but what does it take to sustain financially just one of the rhinos for a year?
Oh, that's a good question, and I'll be glad to have my team answer you because I don't have this information at hand, and I wouldn't.
I'm guessing a lot.
I wouldn't want to say something. We discussed about this. Again, I think the best thing is to have the final word from the program itself.
Sure.
I believe that considering the fact that there were about 30 rhinos at the time that we've been there, and the budget is something around for 500,000 or 600,000. It could be as well something close to about let me calculate this, about 600,000 divided by
Yeah. No, that's a lot.
600
That's a
divided by
fair amount of cash
30,
there.
let's say. So I would say something around 20,000 euros at least
Yeah.
per rhino, because you have to consider that, and this is data per year. You
Yeah.
have to consider that they have to be protected within an area that has to be somehow managed, or rent has to be paid.
Yeah.
And on top of that, there's movement of trucks and so to monitor them. There's people to be involved. Good part of them are on a voluntary basis, but of course you need also experts, which need somehow to be compensated for the time dedicated and so on. And there's the whole food that has to be given to them. And they might stay in the area, at least for those 4 years I mentioned, in which they are not yet independent. So, you multiply that by 4 or 5, it could be that you need at least 100,000 euros altogether over the 5 years to support and protect them.
And that's if they don't get ill or anything, too. You forget about it if they get ill, too.
Exactly.
So if people wanted to get involved and find out and possibly donate, where can they contact and get in touch of Friends of the Earth and Friends of the Sea?
Yes, we have 2 websites. Friend of the Earth. Friend is singular, friendoftheearth.org, as well as friendofthesea.org. And from the homepage, you have a donate button. But you can also write to us so that we can direct you to the projects themselves. We wouldn't want to take like administrative cost on top of that. It's fair enough for us for the donor, if they want to donate to the project itself, to donate directly to the Rhino orphanage in Limpopo in Africa. But we can help and direct them.
Excellent. So if people, where are you getting the message out? Because you talked about some really interesting images and some videos. So where are you sharing your message? Is this on social medias? Is it on those websites? Where are people going to be able to see these videos and see the pictures?
You can see
the work you've done.
You can see on the Friend of the Earth Instagram. You can see the images and the videos of our last visit to the Rhino orphanage. On top of that, the Rhino orphanage, as well as the other over 30 conservation projects that we are supporting worldwide, and also humanitarian projects in some cases, are sending us additional images and information and updates, which we then load and communicate through our social media. We also have dedicated pages for the Rhino project. You can see them from our major menu on the Friend of the Earth website under the Rhino project submenu. So there's plenty of information there. And for anybody who's interested or would like to participate on a voluntary basis or as a stage or something like that to the project, or this one or others, just be in contact with us. We are a bunch of enthusiasts, environmentalists, and people who sincerely want to help and improve our planet.
Awesome. Paolo, thank you so much for taking the time. Tell us about the Rhino. So it's friendoftheearth.org, because the Midwest, the United States Midwest, we put S's on the end of everything.
Yeah, that's normal. That's normal.
That's Midwest. That's Midwest all over the place. So friend friendoftheearth.org. You can find them there. And Paolo, thank you so much for taking the time and being with us here on Animal Talk.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Have a great day.
All right, be well. And then everybody, thank you for listening and following along. We just like subscribe, leave a comment, go to Animal Talk Radio on Instagram. Friend of the Earth and Friend of the Sea. Find their Instagram as well. We'll have all that linked down in the comments, as well as links to the websites. And I'll get the direct links to those videos that we had mentioned as well. So we'll have all those in the comments in the descriptions for you, down below the videos, down below the audio tracks when they are released. So once again, subscribe, leave a comment, all those podcast things in all the podcast places. We'll see you next time. Kiss your wild thing and have an exotic week for me.